So welcome back to the channel. Right, today I have for you the Deutschland class pocket battleship by Panlos, the famous alumni of the Admiral Graf Spee of the Battle of the River Plate fame, and two other ships, which the identity of this particular one, well, it's up for debate on that. But what we're going to do, usual format, 60-second speed build, some pics, and then we'll get into the review. Let's crack on and build. Welcome back. Right, the Deutschland class pocket battleship. Now, I'm going to refer to it as a pocket battleship because that's what the British called it. There is some debate about whether this was a battle cruiser or a heavy cruiser. Now, I believe that the Germans reclassified it after the Deutschland changed its name to the Lutzow as a heavy cruiser, but I'm going with pocket battleship because it is a pocket battleship. Right, usual format. Instructions first of all. As you would expect by Panlos, you get a proper book, no printed sheets with the ink running out, and yeah, really very good, very clear. A couple of places that you have to put your brain into gear, but otherwise it's all very clear. And one thing that's quite nice is they have followed the current trend for less pieces and then more phases, which does help to make things a little clearer. And one thing that I always like to see at the back, you have a directory of all your pieces. So yeah, that's very good. Now, nothing was missing, nothing was warped, and nothing was discoloured. To be fair to it, I did have, you probably noticed on the propellers here, the two shafts, you got one, this one's a little bit longer. It should have been this length, but I will forgive them that. It is at least long enough, and I'm sure I've got some spares somewhere that would be the right length, but I thought in fairness it would show that I did get the wrong shaft here as part of the build, but overall it makes little to no difference. Now, I like this, I'm not going to lie. I like Panlos in general. They are very much what you see is what you get type of manufacturer. Their way of building, to my mind, is quite logical, and you don't really get any huge surprises where you suddenly, it completely throws you. And they do build relatively symmetrically as well, which again always helps. I mean, with some manufacturers you'd have built one side of this and then started here and then a little bit on the superstructure and then back on the other side. No, with this you build through the middle, then one side, the other side, top bit, and then you move to the next section. And this is in 3 sections. You first of all you do build the bow, then the midsection, and then the stern. And for anybody who's watched any of my previous videos with the USS Fletcher, this on the hull is almost identical up to really about there, about where the end of the propellers are. As I say, it's pretty much identical, and it's simply because the Fletcher has a squared off bow or stern rather, squared off stern, and this has a pointed stern, which is everything that the Kazi Admiral Hipper should have been. But overall, this I really like this. It's after having had really a bit of a bad run, with the exception of the late Katyusha, a bit of a rough ride recently on models. So it's just pleasant to do a model and it just be how it should be. It was quite relaxing to do. There was no real stress involved. Everything went together nicely. As I say, it was just very, very nice model to do. Now, it's not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. Obviously, this is a different scale from the USS Fletcher I did. This is about 5 centimetres longer because of the pointed stern. So, of the ships I've done, you've got the Beaten Bismark and you've got the Beaten Missouri, which are far better detailed. For a start, with the lifeboats, launches, the whatever. I mean, this is very, very basic. Whereas on those models, you do have custom sort of boats that go on here. Another thing with the secondaries that are here, they are pretty much fixed in place, partly because of this rail here, and they're not constructed really to move. And it is a little bit of a similar thing with the main guns. I mean, they do rotate more than happily, but if you want to elevate or lower the guns, you really do have to keep something on the actual turret itself, because the mounting is a little bit loose, shall we say. And overall, the level of detail, it's a bit more than basic, but not much more than basic. But then that is, realistically, that's reflected in the price of this. Now, this came out to £32.49. And you have the wheels underneath, as you would sort of expect with this sort of model, so that as it goes along, if you're doing it on a harder surface, you get the propellers moving. So, as I say, £32.49, which, as I'm sure most of you know, for a ship is an extraordinarily good price. In fact, the only ship that I've done that beats this on price is actually the Beaten Bismarck. Excuse me, which I picked up for 31. Now, as I say, this essentially is the same hull as the Fletcher. The Fletcher came in at 38.19, so a little bit more expensive, and between the two, as they're different scales, it's a little bit difficult to compare. I would say that the Fletcher is probably a little bit more detailed for what it is. For instance, it has defined torpedo tubes, whereas we just have these as a suggestion of a torpedo tube at the back. But if you are after a ship and, like the rest of us, you balk at paying the ridiculous fees that Kobe charge for their warships, as good as they are, then this isn't bad. It's really not bad at all. It's a fun and it's engaging build. It builds how you think it should do. It doesn't give you any nasty surprises. The proportions are very good. Everything's there. It's a decent price. What's not to love? Currently, as far as I'm aware, Kobe don't do a version of the Deutschland class pocket battleships. The nearest they probably have to this currently is HMS Belfast, which, as it stands at the moment on the 21st of February 25, is £114. So, I mean, 80-90 quid cheaper. More than acceptable for that. So, in fact, for the same price as you would pay for HMS Belfast, you could get yourself this, you could get yourself the Beaten Bismark, and you could get yourself the Beaten Missouri, which the Missouri especially is an absolutely stunning model. You can probably see it behind me. So there we go, pocket battleship Deutschland, or Lutzow, or even possibly the Admiral Graf Spee or the Admiral Scheer, who knows. Oh, and it does come with a little stand with a, as did the Fletcher, with a completely rubbish plaque on it. I would suggest that you bin that straight away. It just says armoured ship, maximum speed 26 nm. Is that supposed to be nautical miles, or is that Newton meter? I have no idea. Competence, super durable. So yeah, we're bidding that bit. But the stand works quite nicely. Just attaches in the middle, under there somewhere. There we go, and then you have your display. So, hopefully you've liked this video. If you have, please like and subscribe to the channel, and I'll catch you next time. Cheers then, bye bye.